Welcome back to the last in our series on common FBA mistakes. We recorded these a few months back without the best equipment, but wanted to get this out even if it's a little bit lower quality than our standard, so we apologize ahead of time. In this series, we'll be bridging the gap between theory and practice when selling on Amazon FBA. In each of these, I'll outline the official stance first, and then pull back the curtain to reveal the actionable advice that matters in application. Okay, let's get started. Number 5, not following Amazon's policies. Amazon has various policies that cover different aspects of selling on its platform, such as product listing policies, product safety policies, selling policies, prohibited seller activity and action policies, communication guidelines, intellectual property policies, etc. You need to familiarize yourself with these policies and comply with them at all times. Failing to do so can result in penalties or suspension of your account. All right, so basically, the old school way of looking at this is, well, just do TOS, terms of service. And Amazon has, huge amount of boilerplate for this. The thing to look at is, first step is this a good business practice? Generally accepted business practices. So that's number one. In other words, don't steal people's stuff. Don't do stuff that's blatantly dangerous. If you're somewhere where you have to question, then double check, read through Amazon's different policies, and these policies are all over the place. Like, it's not just one thing and answers everything, because there might be policies on how to communicate with other people. There might be policies on how your packaging is done. There's a lot of policies on safety of products. And this can be real or perceived by Amazon. So your products can be deemed a hazmat even if they are not a hazmat. And they could be deemed as a hazmat legitimately by Amazon inside Amazon's system per their rules. Or they can be deemed hazmat illegitimately by Amazon's rules because they got something wrong. One example that I had that, took down one of the listings that I had in luxury beauty was a hairbrush, a plastic hairbrush with plastic bristles. Nothing too remarkable about it, but it got tagged as hazmat. And it took weeks to get that taken off of hazmat because they wanted the MSDS for that particular product, which does not have one because it's a piece of inert plastic that has no moving parts. Is not a liquid, is not a chemical per se. So it took a lot of calling into Amazon to get somebody to look at the product and acknowledge that a hairbrush, regardless of what the computer says, was not a hazmat product, and to get it redesignated as a hairbrush so that those flags would turn off and the listing would go live again. So it's something to pay attention to. Now, on the flip side, let's say that you have something that is a liquid. Now, does this liquid have anything that could be considered flammable, caustic, toxic, or any of the above? Cleaning fluids would be something that could be a potential problem. You have to look at what your ingredients are there, and you may need to provide an MSDS, an official MSDS to Amazon for them to vet whether this product is allowed in their systems or not. And it might be yes, but you have to have liquid containment. Means you have to have a bag around it. In other cases, they'll say yes, but it needs to be under the hazmat. All aerosols are under this particular category. If an aerosol is allowed in the Amazon system, and that is up to Amazon, then it will still be considered a hazmat. The cost to fulfill hazmat is going to be higher than for a standard product. And then the packaging that you need to do on it is also going to be higher than a standard product. So if you're doing something that is a spray product, it may benefit you to have a manual pump that atomizes versus an aerosol that with propellant in it. Now, it's possible that your product, you don't have a choice. That's what it is. However, if there are options for that, look into them. Does it have any alcohol in it? Could it potentially be flammable, even in high concentrations. It might be one of these things where you have a perfume and it has alcohol in it, but it's a very small amount. Depending on what that is, you need to look and determine whether Amazon will allow that. If you have a gallon of the stuff, it might be dangerous. If you have an ounce of it and it breaks, it may not be a problem. So it's something that you have to do you have to research inside Amazon to verify. And if you can't figure out the answer, even though oftentimes with Seller Central support, they are not the most knowledgeable of folks, depending on the training level they've received, it is worthwhile to call in, make a case, and tell them everything about your product, outside of specialty IP stuff, but everything that makes sense from think of them as a 3PL, a fulfillment house, that they might need to know to determine whether your product has special handling requirements, is a hazmat, or something else. Because the one thing you don't want to do is leave something gray where you think it's okay, but it might not be okay, and you don't know, and then you send it in, and next thing you know, you've got $5,000 worth of product that Amazon says, no, we're not touching this with a 10-foot pole, and we're going to throw it away for you and charge you for it. And we're going to charge you special because now we call it hazmat, and so basically you're going to get your account shut down. So don't do that. Do your research ahead of time. Ask Amazon. Check Amazon's policies and talk to support and let them know specifically in cases with documentation you have from your manufacturer on what these products are, how they're packaged, and any sort of safety concerns, including an MSDS, so that Amazon can determine, thumbs up or thumbs down of whether they can do FBA on this. It's also possible that you may not want to do FBA and you might want to merchant fulfill individually. Then you are going to have to verify whether your stuff is safe to ship with USPS or UPS, whatever their rules are. Similar sort of situation, but now it's now your responsibility to determine this instead of Amazon taking responsibility for however they're shipping it, both externally when they're using shippers and internally when they're storing it in their warehouses. And that concludes our series on the top FBA mistakes. Remember, every mistake avoided is a step closer to your success. Keep the momentum going by subscribing to our channel and visiting Get Profit Smart for personalized advice and strategies. Your input makes our community stronger. Comment below with your experiences or questions. Together, we're turning FBA challenges into triumphs.